All right, cool. So I'm so excited that my dear friend and colleague, Chrissie Hodges, decided to join us for one of the My OCD Care lectures slash interviews slash we're still figuring out what this is. So Chrissie Hodges is a certified peer support specialist and founder of Treatment for OCD Consulting. She does peer support and referral slash resource consultations with individuals worldwide. How many languages do you speak?
One.
One? Which one?
What you're hearing right now.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I have met with people before with a translator.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I would like to at some point, well, we can get into that. Go ahead.
Okay. So Chrissie is the author of Pure OCD, The Invisible Side of Obsessive Compulsive Disorder. Chrissie is the co-founder of Peer Recovery Services, a government contract agency providing peer support, specialist services to the forensics and civilian state mental institutions of Colorado. She was the 2017 recipient of the International OCD Foundation Annual Hero Award. Chrissie is the founder. You found a lot of things. Do you look for things all the time and find them? Okay, Chrissie is the founder and the executive director of the nonprofit OCD Game Changers, which is so exciting, and we'll talk more about. Chrissie lives in Palmer Lake, Colorado, with her husband, Sean. Apparently it snows a lot there.
Yes,
when she's not working. Really? Wow, it just don't stop. When she's not working, you'll find her on the mountain trails in her kayak or eating sushi. And I really wanted to bring her on, aside from her really long list of accomplishments. I think she really has a very hopeful and positive message to individuals with OCD, individuals with various mental health conditions. And I think that positive outlook and very deep and emotionally warm support is really an ingredient that's needed in the care that that mental health providers provide. And I think so many people who I've worked with since I opened my practice have discovered that they have OCD because of the YouTube videos that you put out. Right? They're like, I don't know what the hell is going on, and they just Google stuff and they see this really excited person with awesome hair discussing oh, this is exactly what's going on. Oh, it has a name, OCD. And that's really how they begin to get help. And I think that is so crucial. And so it's really an honor to have you on and to talk about what peer support is and your journey to getting here.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, Elliot. Yeah. I love everything that you do.
Everything?
I do. I especially love your ability to, speak out on things and use your expertise to kind of challenge the status quo. I love that about you. That's something that I am really passionate about. So I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we're colleagues.
Yeah, you got to shake the pot, right?
Always.
Otherwise, all the stuff gets stuck on the bottom, right?
Always.
Cool. So I guess my first question is tell us a little bit about how you became a peer support specialist. What was your journey into becoming, Chrissie Hodges?
So I live with OCD, and the nickname for the type of OCD or the manifestation of OCD is pure OCD. I lived with it for 12 years, undiagnosed, untreated, had no idea what was going on. Typically it was the sexual orientation themes, fear vomiting, which I still sometimes get to this day. And then overarching scrupulosity. It was way back in the 90s. So there really, there was no internet, there was nothing. And so living with this in such isolation and just the toll it took, the trauma experience, the toll it took on my self-esteem, leading up to a suicide attempt, and then luckily being hospitalized inpatient in a random psych facility in Georgia. And this therapist was like, I think this is OCD, but I've never seen anything like this.
Right.
And so I got an accurate diagnosis, thank goodness, back in '98. And then I was really, really lucky and privileged to be able to do therapy with Dr. Stephen Phillipson in New York, who is willing to do phone therapy across state lines with me. And I just, to this day feel just really lucky that I had that experience. Fast forward all through, this was when I was 21, when I got therapy, effective exposure response prevention. But then throughout my 20s and into my early 30s, I just really suffered and struggled with the stigma, with just the self-hatred, self-loathing. I was still hiding in secret with all that I had been through. I was really embarrassed and ashamed about the themes, and I was embarrassed about the suicide attempt. And then it wasn't until a pretty massive relapse in my early 30s, right around 33, I had violent intrusive thoughts. And that's when I really thought, oh crap, like OCD does not go away despite what I want to believe. And I also had this breakthrough of, I'm really tired of living in secret and hating myself for something that I can't control. And so that's when I thought, I know there's people out there, because that's what, Dr. Phillipson was really into, like, the community pure OCD, nickname, so we could have a place that we felt like we belonged,
right.
that more the mental compulsion piece. And I was like, I know they're out there. I'm going to find them. And that's when I just thought, I'm going to learn how to public speak. I'm going to start just doing some small videos. That's when I started going to the IOCDF conference, met, all these people that Margaret Sisson of Riley's Wish, her son Riley, Shannon Shai, people like that. And as I got more into advocacy, I started getting more emails from people, and I thought, I really want to help people, but I don't want to do therapy, because I really thought the story is so important. The lived experience is so important for recovery. For me, connecting to people who just got it really helped with the grieving and the healing process. And I thought, I don't want to lose that by having an ethical boundary in doing therapy. And so
ethical boundaries mess us up.
Yes. And I stumbled across peer support, and I thought, I need to be trained to support people. I do not want to do it just like, oh, I'm a peer support. And thank goodness, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing until I got trained and realized I was doing it all wrong. And so then I worked with, I got trained through a company here in Denver. I worked in the state institution. So I did peer support on the teams in the psychiatric facility, work with every single diagnosis there is, just the most marginalized community that we have. We're dealing with major mental illness, addiction, homelessness, everything. And did that for 2 years. Then I went out on my own because I really wanted to focus in on OCD. I felt like it was needed. It's helpful in treatment. And then full circle, that contract that I worked under came up for grabs. My business partner and I, she's an LPC and she also is a peer support. We bid for the contract and we won it.
Oh, that's amazing.
So now I actually hire and supervise peers under the contract that I worked under and got to learn how to be a peer support. So
wow, so I'm
really lucky.
You're paying it forward?
Yeah. And we have some amazing peer supports that work in the institutions. Being able to be on the other side of it to help mentor and support those that are doing peer support. It's just, I'm lucky.
That's so amazing. And what is involved in the certification process? How do you go from a rogue peer support specialist to a certified one?
So this is a big sticking point for me. So thank you for bringing it up.
You got it.
As much as I love that people want to support their fellow peers, you are not a peer support specialist until you get trained and certified. And what that is going to entail is whatever the state requires. Each state is different. Colorado here, it was an 80-hour training. I needed 500 hours of patient-to-patient contact. So that could be either paid or volunteer. And I needed
you said 500?
500.
That's a lot of hours.
You could do it in 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you also required a hefty amount of supervision and group supervision.
Okay.
And so it's obviously isn't as grueling and intense as what therapy is, or therapists go through, but it follows the same, it follows kind of the same trajectory of, you don't need to be doing this work until you really understand what it means to get the education on it, get the support, the interactions, and the supervision, which I think is critical. So people who are interested in doing peer support, I would highly recommend finding out in your state where the peer support training is and what the what you need to do to get certified. Right now, I think that there's well over 40 states that have peer support trainings and certifications, but not all 50 yet.
Do you know anything about New York? I think I might have asked you something.
I do believe New York has one, but not off the top of my head. You should have put that in your question.
I should have done some research before this. I should have done a lot of things. Where do we begin?
We can find out though and put it in the comments.
100%. So like, why do you think, I feel like peer support is growing, and I'm wondering like why there aren't as many in kind of more of a private practice setting versus like in institutions and hospitals, because I feel like your reach is much larger that way.
So a few things. I'm trying to not say too much so I don't get. First of all, there are many states now that peer support gets paid by Medicaid dollars. So that is why there are so many jobs in kind of the ground floor of treatment. So Medicaid typically, like the contract that I have is, well, it's actually funded through the government, but peer support in general in most of your mental health centers, they're Medicaid dollars. And so in private practice, I think there just isn't, there isn't enough buzz around how effective it could be. I feel like I got really lucky because I already had a presence as an advocate in the OCD community. And so, and I also believe that OCD in general, especially for those really, most of the people that I am doing peer support with are going to be violent, sexual, scrupulous thoughts, health-related relationship themes.
Right.
These are themes, and with the OCD, because of the ego dystonic piece, people really feel like they're going nuts. And they really need someone to normalize that experience
100%.
and to help motivate them to get treatment. And they often don't have anyone to talk to. A, because people just don't get it. And B, it's really risky to talk to someone and say, I have fears that I'm turning into a pedophile. That's a risky move. And
100%.
So with a peer support, and I'm sure we'll talk about my videos, but I'm so transparent about anything and everything, trying to clean out every single corner we can get to so people know you can come talk to me, and also my contract employee. You can talk to us both, and we are not going to judge. We've heard it before, and we've probably thought it before.
Right.
So there is a safe zone there, and also it just helps to go, I'm going to take the next step to treatment if I know, A, someone gets it and believes me, and B, that they've been through it too. ERP was really hard for me. And so to be able to say, look, I've been exactly where you've been. I was worried that therapy would prove that my intrusive thoughts were real. Then they go, oh, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, that's really so powerful. What's like the typical course of peer support? Like, let's say, sometimes people recognize or get a diagnosis of OCD or told that they have OCD. So sometimes they'll, go straight to a therapist, and then they'll do a course of treatment. What would you say is like a typical course of peer support?
So the interesting thing about
Does that question make sense? Does that question make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay, cool.
And I do want to clarify, I think this is really important, especially if therapists are listening right now. Peer support is not therapy. And this is why it's so important for peer support to be trained and especially supervised by a licensed therapist, because that is how we learn how not to overstep the boundaries of therapy. And while that may seem, it may seem like intuitive of, oh, well, that's therapy. You really don't know those boundaries until you can practice it, and you can hone that skill of understanding when to say, this is going way out of my lane, and you need to consult a therapist about this. Totally. So I just want to make that clear because I know therapists sometimes don't have a clear idea of what peer support is, but I want you to know a certified trained peer support specialist knows what lane to stay in.
Yeah, and I think that's why I really wanted to have you on, is because I really do believe in the role of peer support. And I think, like, there is such a dearth of services out there, right? And I feel like there's so many people who could really benefit from it. And I think, as therapists really see the value of peer support, I think there could be such amazing collaboration.
Yes.
So I think that's so awesome. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to talk about this.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about like that boundary? Like how do you, if you were to instruct someone who's going to be a peer support specialist, like when does peer support, stop and therapy begin? Because there's definitely like overlap, right? Like, just being empathetic is a therapeutic tool, and it's also a peer support tool, and also a friend tool, right?
Right.
So what is that line, if you could speak to that?
Okay, that's a great question, and
I asked this.
a good reminder for me to revisit this. The biggest thing that I keep in mind, and most peer supports learn when they go through training that they didn't know before, is peer support is not about advice. You do not give advice.
Okay.
Therapists give advice and make suggestions and give homework and whatever else. We do not do that. So in speaking to supporting people specifically with OCD, however, I am trained and qualified to support anybody, no matter what the mental illness. With OCD, probably the biggest challenges of those boundaries are going to be A, reassurance.
Right, yeah. 100%.
And B, fielding questions in a way that is not restructuring how people do ERP.
Okay.
And so what I mean by that is I meet with a lot of people that are in treatment, and they may not understand their exposure, their exposure assignment, or they may be resisting doing the exposure because it's tough. And what often happens is, well, what do you think I should do, Chrissie?
Gotcha.
Right there is the boundary. If there's not an ROI sign and I can't call up Elliot and go, okay, I'm working with that client and they're asking me to clarify, I cannot say, oh, well, you should do this. And sometimes I might say, in my lived experience, when I did an exposure, I did it this way, and these were the challenges, but I'm not by any means telling someone that's what you should do. Sometimes if it gets really confusing, I might actually reach out to their therapist and just say, can we sign an ROI? I really think your client is struggling with knowing what to do, and how can we help clarify this? But typically anything that goes into the advice realm, I have to create a boundary really quick with my client and say, I'm not here to give advice. I'm just here to walk alongside you.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting because therapists also need to like walk away from advice. Like I've worked with people who are like, yeah, my therapist totally told me to like get engaged with this person. I'm like, really? Like, that's not our territory either. Like, we don't have to live with that, with, your decisions. Like, we're not making those decisions. So yeah. So I guess each of us have a different relationship with advice. Like, we could give clinical advice, right? And it sounds like you're careful to not, speak to the actual therapeutic work without kind of the collaboration piece, right?
And it takes practice because, especially when I was a green peer support specialist in the state institution, I mean, I'm learning all this clinical stuff and all of these different modalities and this and this and this. And it took practice and good supervision for me to go, or for me to realize, hey, you can't tell clients anything other than, what your lived experience is, and support them in their own decisions, which is also, not to jump to another question, but which is also another thing that we do as peer support is, I'll give you an example. This is more in the institute setting, but it also does occur with individuals I'm working with OCD, is we don't advocate for people.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is hone the skill of empowering others to advocate for themselves.
Okay.
And so when I'm working with someone and let's say I'm working and I've signed an ROI with a therapist and the client says, hey, listen, can I'm really having problems with this exposure. I'm really, having problems with even with this medication. Can you just go ahead and tell the therapist that? Well, my
Right.
instinct is to say, well, yes, I will advocate for you because I want to
Right.
support you and I want you to be better. But the peer support role is, let's talk about how I can support you in telling your therapist this. Because
Mm-hmm.
as you know, Elliot, people who get diagnosed with mental illness, especially when they get stuck in the system, they completely lose their voice.
Yeah.
A, because they
Mm-hmm.
don't know anything about this new world. B, they're stigmatized as hell. And C, they don't know they don't know that they have a voice and that they can actually say, hey, those meds make me drool and sleep all day. I'm not taking them. Like,
Yes.
unless they're
Mm-hmm.
court ordered, obviously. But people don't know that they have a voice. And so peer support comes in not to just, like get a whip on the system, but basically to say, no, this is your life. And
Mm-hmm.
you can live in recovery. This has to be your journey, and you have some sort of control over your treatment as well.
Yeah, and I think that's a really awesome message to therapists as well, in that recognizing that when we're working with someone, they may not feel empowered to speak up about something, and
Yeah.
really making it your point to give them room to criticize your work or to say what's not working. And that might not come unless you actually invite that. Like, what could I be doing differently? What could I be doing better? How do you need more support? Right. And I think people don't want to just insult you like you're helping them. So I think you really need to invite it, right? And I think that's a very good message. So I imagine it's hard for you when there's a lot of people who treat individuals with OCD who really don't have the background, right? So how do you deal with the situations where people call for support and you learn that kind of they're either not getting ERP, or it sounds like you don't know what's going on with their ERP. So how do you handle those types of situations?
Well, I manage my anger very well.
For our next talk, how to manage your anger.
I mean, to say it's hard it's underestimating how, although my favorite emotion is clear-headed anger, 100%, because that's what drives me to do what I do. I think
Cool.
you have to have it to buck the
You
system.
channel that.
So, interestingly enough, I keep a running list of all the things that clients tell me that therapists have said to them.
Okay.
that are so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't put the person's name or anything, but I keep that list just to remind myself why we need to keep doing this work and why we need to keep getting the message out there.
Cool.
Majority of people that I meet with that are coming to me for referrals, because I do referral consultations, have had numerous experiences with therapists that have treated them with all kinds of therapy that doesn't work, hypnotherapy, EMDR, psychoanalytic therapy, all of this, and then also said ridiculous things like, well, if you have pedophile thoughts, does that, have you been sexually, abused, or do you really think you're a pedophile, or do you really think you're gay, or
right.
really believe in God if you're having sexual thoughts about him? And these things devastate people and make them not want to go to another therapist. So why peer support and what I do is so valuable is when people have these horrific experiences, they then find my videos and I'm on there talking about the darkest, deepest things we can talk about and laughing at the same time half the time. And usually it's because I can't believe I'm saying it out loud live. But then they see that they can come through me because they can trust me. I'm not going to send them to somebody who's going to put them right back at square one. Right. And so that's why working with myself or a peer support is so valuable. It just renews trust and faith that they can get better. Because when they get to me, majority of people are so beat down they're reluctant to even, they think there's no hope for them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say, like, even back to the beginning, how lucky I was to find Phillipson. He was the first therapist I reached out to, and I was so lucky. But
not everyone.
Most people are not that lucky. And my greatest fear is in those 3, 4, 5 therapists who say they treat OCD and they don't, and they make things worse. We're losing people to suicide. That's my greatest fear.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up. That's terrifying. Do you think we're getting better as a field, like over the course of your, peer support, in terms of like the number of people who are doing ERP, or do you think it's just like, kind of the needle's not really moving? What are you finding?
It's hard for me to judge because I'm surrounded by it all the time.
Right.
In my life, OCD is everywhere. Like my best friends have it.
Yeah.
But I think once I venture out into out of the OCD bubble, I really start to realize that we have a long way to go. And in speaking to even motivating people to go to ERP therapy, there's so much bad information out there about ERP that Stephen Smith and NoCD, they are expanding like crazy and offering peer support at a lower rate. And
they do peer support also?
Oh, I'm sorry, not peer support, therapy. Peer support eventually, sorry.
It's down the road.
They're offering it at a lower rate. But what now we're starting to see is the reluctance of people even doing the therapy because they're scared. Even when it's
like people who get trained on NoCD, or
like like clients that I would send to them.
Right,
I'll follow up, and then they're like, even if I know they can afford it, it's like, well, what if the therapy proves that my thoughts are real, or what if the therapist doesn't think it? So and that's why NoCD is so amazing. Like they target those specific areas where we're losing people, and they fill in the gaps. And so I think figuring that out has been amazing to see. Okay, how we're spreading a lot of awareness, all of us, collectively. ERP is the way to go. I know we have a long way to go with that, but at least people can typically get that information quicker than they ever could. But now it's okay, then how do we follow up and through peer support or whatever else and say, yes, it's going to be scary and you're going to have all these fears, but that's OCD too, and let's do this anyway.
Okay,
so
that's so awesome.
Yeah, so I do think I think our reach is getting bigger, which I don't want to go ahead and go into game changers, but things like game changers is going to help empower people to start speaking out. I mean, look at you. Cool. Like a year ago, you weren't doing this.
No, I was not doing this.
Now you're a game changer, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm totally a game changer. I'm on the media list. But I think this is a great time to talk about game changers. What is game changers?
So OCD Game Changers came about because advocacy, and when I'm doing advocacy and peer support at the same time, it is a lonely world. I mean, advocacy in general is really lonely, and there was not a platform before Game Changers for supporting advocates that were getting projects out there and trying to get their name out there. They you have to build your brand on your own, and if you don't get traction, you're not going to stay inspired to do it. And you don't get traction with mental health for a long time because of this. It took me years to finally see that people were actually interested or were reading my posts. And not that likes matter, but it helps when I post something to be like, okay, people like this, so that means I'm doing something right.
Likes totally matter.
So what I was seeing is, I tend to think if I'm feeling one way, everybody's feeling that way. That's I'm a black and white thinker. So I thought to myself, and I'd heard from my fellow advocates, I really want to keep doing my project, but I really am lacking the support. And so I thought, what if I brought kind of like what I was seeing are the top upcoming advocates together to all fly into Denver. I would provide the Airbnb for the weekend, and then we do just an event basically to offset the cost of the Airbnb. And while we're there, we do a mastermind group. We talk about our projects. we talk about how to support one another, how to brainstorm obstacles and share resources. And it was amazing. And I did this 2 years ago, and it was, even the event was mind blowing. And, you know, Aaron Harvey kicked us off, and he's like me. He went directly into like talking about like the most hardcore intrusive thoughts, and the whole room was like, and it was amazing. And then the next year I thought, okay, I'm going to do this again because it was successful. And then I brought therapists in just to see if it would work. Because therapy, y'all do advocacy too. And I don't want that to get lost of you're a therapist, but you also do all this other wonderful stuff. And it was successful as well. And we did the mastermind again last year. And it was the mastermind is the most wonderful thing about the weekend, because you walk away with like a new family, new support. And so then I organized as a nonprofit because I didn't want to feel like people are paying and it's going in my pocket. Like I deal with that. And so then we did a Game Changers in the UK with Stuart Ralph with OCD Stories, and it was just so magical. It was so amazing again. And then this year, we're actually doing a mastermind for the therapists and a mastermind for the advocates. So we'll see how that goes. But it basically is a nonprofit, that focuses 100% on community. And because community is so important with OCD. We feel so alone. We feel so isolated. We don't think anybody gets it. And so people walk away from these events going, I feel like I belong somewhere. I am not a monster. And then they walk away and go, I think I'm going to go home and do a blog, or I'm going to. And so really quickly, full circle, there was a gentleman who attended OCD Game Changers last year. Okay. Didn't do advocacy, didn't do anything, went home. We lit a fire under him, and he started doing advocacy. He created this whole network for mental health videos. He was featured all over the news in Minneapolis, and now he's a speaker this year at OCD Game Changers.
Oh, that's so exciting. Are you able to say who he is, or?
Oh yeah, Brian Pyatt.
Oh, amazing. I'm really, well, I'll be going to OCD Game Changers, so I'm very excited. Yeah, so
and maybe we'll do a live feed there.
Oh yeah, amazing. It's going to be live from, it's in Denver. It's in Denver. That's very exciting. Cool. So I understand that you've kind of, in terms of expanding your peer support practice, you're partnering with therapy practices.
Yes.
So I'm curious, like, if you could give some info for therapists on how you could help their OCD specialty practice.
Okay. So I do want to preface with it isn't structured out yet. It's still basically what I'm doing right now.
So this is really hot. This is new info.
This is hot.
You get it here first.
I'm sweating. So I'm basically doing a pilot program right now, bringing on a second peer. So let me tell you my overarching goal for my peer support practice, so people understand. Peer support, I feel like, should be something that is not expensive. Every person deserves to have someone walk alongside them in their journey to peer support. Unfortunately, I've had to charge to be able to make a living and do what I do. And
so you need to eat. You're not just a peer support machine.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And food is not free by you.
Food is not free.
Okay.
So my vision has always been, and now this is becoming a reality, that I will scale the practice by bringing on certified peer support specialists and be able to offer a wide variety of pricing, while also being able to pay my peer supporters a living wage, because that of course is 100% important. But so I'm bringing one peer supporter on. She's at a reduced rate for mine. And my goal is, if this pilot program is successful and I can get her, really situated in a full client caseload, we can bring on another peer support. And eventually I'll have a whole team, and people will be able to call us and say, I need peer support. And we will go, how much can you pay? And if they can say $3, I can be able to provide support to that person. And that's, to me, it's just, peer support should not be a perk. Peer support, it needs to be a reality for people that are certified and that know how to support people effectively, that isn't going to contribute to symptoms. So that's my overarching goal. I believe I could meet it in about 2 years. Yay. Um, but I think another crucial element of that is not only us doing virtual certified peer support groups, which we're going to start in March, but also working directly with therapists. Therapy practice. I already do this. So I was trained here in Denver under Matt Miles, who's an OCD specialist. He wanted me to come in and help him when he had homebound clients that were just not moving with their ERP. So I would come in and I would coach them. He taught me how to coach people. I did not learn on my own. He taught me how to coach them through ERP by following his exact plan. And then I used peer support to help motivate them to actually do the exposures. And it was wildly successful. And so what I offer now is I will do coaching alongside therapists. Basically, we need to sign an ROI. I work with the therapist. They give me the ERP plan. I coach someone through their exposures and provide peer support along the way. So
love that.
It's so amazing.
Right.
And so what I really want to start doing is being able to take that, really unique skill now that I have someone else on board and be able to work directly with therapy practices, either in that capacity or providing peer support to whatever clients that need it or want it in their practice at a rate of an hour at a time. So we could do that via Messenger. So one peer support for an hour can take care of about 10 people messaging. Or we could do like an hour's worth of AMAs for therapy practices, and then clients show up or they don't, and then they can ask the peer support anything to get the support that they need. We're still working out some of the kinks, but what that does is it brings down the rate for the client. So effectively, if someone had 5 people that they wanted to do peer support, that would end up, for one of my peer supporters, $10 per hour per client.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah,
and I think it adds so much to the treatment. Having someone who understands from lived experience and also who could help with compliance. Like sometimes you just need someone who could just like motivate you to do your homework, right? And
100%.
So I think if you're already investing in the therapy, just getting this extra piece could make your therapy that much more effective.
It can also be a perk. I'm actually partnering with a therapy clinic here. I don't want to say who it is just yet, but she's just going to raise her rates just a little. So because peer support will be a perk for every single one of her clients.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
Yeah, and so interesting. I just wanted to say, kind of that motivating for the homework. One of my favorite lines to use when I'm supporting someone is, I just want you to know what we're about to do together is just going to suck. So let's just do it anyway. Because what people need to hear in ERP is the reality from someone who's been through it.
Right.
Because therapists, whether they have OCD or not, I mean, I'm not saying that, but a therapist can't really say oh yeah, when I did ERP, but a peer support can be this is going to suck, but let's do it anyway. And then the client's she gets it. She knows I'm going to do it anyway. And then we process it, and it's always like it is with ERP. Well, that wasn't as bad as I thought.
Right. Ta-da. that is the secret. It's not as bad as I thought. Right. What was I going to ask? Oh, so always a fun question is, have you ever come into conflict with people who didn't understand peer support? Right? You and I are fans of controversy. So have you ever has there been situations where people didn't understand it and you had to explain what it is, or people who may still not understand it? And what's that like for you?
So I think this is a really great question that's going to give some clarification. Why I'm so passionate about making sure people are certified is there's a lot of people out there doing peer support, maybe not even exchanging money, but giving us a bad name. And a lot of those people fall under coaches who have zero training, who have zero supervision, who don't, and I'm not going to bash that whole, because some people I think do good work. But peer support is very different from that. And so I definitely want to clarify that if you're working with a certified peer support specialist, they have a higher degree of professionalism and just accountability than someone who's just saying, oh, I'm providing peer support and because I feel like I can because I have OCD. It's bullshit. Like, it should not be that way. And I think peer support gets a bad name because of that. The same way, like when OCD specialists say, I specialize in OCD, and the next thing they're doing is hypnotherapy, that gives you a bad name. You know, if it's not clarified that, no, this is the correct avenue to do it. I have very much encountered people that think that peer support is not valid or not valued. My hope and goal, and I was actually talking to the woman that came on board my practice the other day, is I want to change your minds about peer support. I hold myself, I hold the people that are going to come work for me at a high standard. And so I want the opportunity to show you how peer support can be so valuable to your clients in reducing the amount of time sometimes they're in therapy, reducing the costs, reducing the stigma, and being able for them to really truly believe that they can have a full life because they've worked with someone that can show you that you can have a full life. But yeah, working in the institution, oh, Elliot, I mean, yeah, I got a lot of shit. And a lot of it is just medical model versus recovery model. That's what it was. And to me, I could argue to the end of the day, and you know I would with someone. But to me, I just hold on to the fact that I'm going to continue to try to show people just through my work and through the success of my clients that this is really valuable, and it would be worth it to consider having it brought onto your practice.
Yeah, and I would really want to see how it continues to unfold, and I would love to get that into my practice because I really see the value in it.
Yay!
Yeah, but then I assume it'll be free because of this interview. I joke. No, I'm always the one who says, Chrissie, start charging for stuff because you need to eat.
I know! You're so contradicting yourself.
I know, I'm the worst. I'm going to see if anyone from the audience has any questions. So hold on. Let's see.
Sad. No one cares about peer support.
Are you kidding? I feel like everyone's going to care about it. Let's say that. Right? And you've changed and saved so many lives, so you could just, retire now and you get to go to heaven.
I'm never going to retire. I can't.
Right.
First of all, I would have to take my YouTube channel down for a few years in order to retire.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to see if there's any questions. I think we asked so many good questions. So let's see. Any questions for Chrissie? I'm going to look at my nerdy question list to see if there's anything else there. While I'm doing that, you could pitch your awesome books and the conference that's coming up. Tell us.
Yes. So OCD
give us specific deets.
Yes. So OCD Game Changers, there are 8. So, okay, a few things. OCD Game Changers also acknowledges the importance of community, not just in America, but in all over the world. And so last year we went to the United Kingdom, which was wildly successful. And then this year we're going to go to the United Kingdom again. And then I guess I could just preemptively tell you this, even though we don't have any of the details. There are talks about going to Spain and doing an OCD Game Changer with Alejandro Ibarra.
Yes, who I met at the kickoff event.
And he is badass.
Yeah.
I mean, he is he does all these videos in Spanish. He trains people all over the world. So anyway, we are in talks about doing an OCD Game Changers in Spain. I'm super excited. I need to learn Spanish. But I can't wait to learn how to say the groinal in Spanish.
El groinal. I'm pretty sure it's El groinal.
So anyway.
You could look that up. That would be my guess.
So the other things that OCD Game Changers are doing is we also understand the need to create community where you are. So we have OCD Game Changer pop-up events where people can contact us. You put on an event, typically an open mic, and then we help with marketing. And there's a specific amount of fundraising to do to be able to do that. But right now we're looking at doing one in Georgia in April, San Francisco in May, another one in San Francisco in August, and then Minneapolis later in the fall.
All right.
I know, but other than that, OCD Game Changers big event, which is kind of our annual event, is happening in Denver, March 7th. That's like a month from now. And we have, oh my gosh, we have 5 advocates that are speaking, including Erin Harvey, Rose Cartwright, Brian Hyatt, and the Not Alone Notes girls. Then we have Dr. Stephen Phillipson. Woohoo! I'm going to cry up on the stage with him. We have Allison Solomon. We have John Hirschfield. We have Maggie Perry. We have Lori Johnson. We have Stephen Smith, who's coming to talk about OCD. Am I missing anybody? Oh my God, if I am, they're going to kill me. I think that's it. I think I hit 7. So, and this, Elliot, is an unconference. So this is going to be way more about all the attendees get to tell us what they want us to talk about. Okay. And all day, the activities are going to be getting up, getting out of your seat, meeting each other, like addressing specific topics. We're going to do campfire chats. We're going to have an Ignite forum for the therapists. We're going to have a sit down with Dr. Phillipson where I'll cry the whole time. And then of course, ending the day in usual fashion with all the advocates doing TED Talk style talks. So it is going to be phenomenal. And let's hope it's not a blizzard.
Oh, even so, we will shovel our way there if need be. I do have a question for you. Are you ready?
Okay.
How's your calculus? It's a math one. No, I'm kidding. Okay. I'm new to being in a supporting friend role and have definitely been doing things quite wrong. Being more of an enabler than supporter, I'm in Ottawa, Canada, and I'm looking to try to find resources here to learn to be trained peer supporter or online ones. A friend who's single parents to 3 is really struggling but currently resisting, avoiding help. But 2 of the children, all teens, are looking to me to help. Since I'm about the only adult still left in their sphere, any suggestions?
Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of suggestions as far as international peer support, and I'm not sure like if people even have training. However, I know that if doing a training is something that you want to do and are open to do, whether it's not happening in your state or in your country, I would highly suggest reaching out to states maybe that are nearby, maybe on the border or whatever. But I know specifically Utah will accept people that don't live in Utah to train, and I believe they can certify in Utah. And so that might be an option. Or sometimes I obviously can't teach someone how to be a peer support specialist, but I do consultations with people and helping to teach people how to be a better support,
right.
Which does include how to not enable, how to listen, how to use empathy in a way that's supportive and not just, like, oh, I empathize anyway about me,
Yeah.
So
Let me tell you my problem.
So I definitely do that often because I actually am a certified peer and family support specialist. So my credential is CPFS. So
I was wondering what the F was. Okay, nice. What the F was.
Always curious when there's an F in there. So I work with parents a lot to be able to answer whatever questions they may have and help them come up with strategies on how to support someone that's more not patient, because that would be usually their daughter or son, but more client focused, and strength based.
Right.
And also to help them understand I am the child of someone. And so I know what helps and hurts when it comes to families saying specific things about OCD. So I hope that helps. I wish I had more international resources. However, I can look stuff up and maybe Elliot get back to you and you can post it in the comments.
And you're basically available internationally, right? Like you don't have any kind of, there's no limits to where you could do peer support.
Other than translating languages, which sometimes the way we get around that is if the person has a translator with them, or we'll message back and forth and they can do Google Translate. I can do that as well.
Okay. So the person said that's fantastic. I think 2 of the girls might be willing to learn how to support their parents too. Thanks. I will definitely be in touch. Really,
Oh,
really
great.
appreciate this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's so sweet. All right.
Yay.
Yeah, this was so awesome.
I know.
I really think that we really you've done so much, and it seems like there's so much more that you want to do and have, plans to do. And I think it's so inspiring, just the creativity that you put into your work, right? And it's not just about doing the same thing every day. And I think that's really an important message for therapists, right?
Mhm.
For the work that we do, that, we could help more people than the 20 people who we see per week, right? When there's
Yeah.
millions of people who need our help. So
Yeah.
even if it's just like making a little video or, doing these things, I think there's so much we could do. Educating people, training people how to do ERP. So
Yeah.
yeah,
We are always on the
yeah.
lookout for the next game changer.
Oh shit. So I think it was so great for you to come and so great for you to be here. And is there anything you'd want to say before we wrap up?
Oh, I want to say thank you to you. I'm so excited that we connected, and we connected early on. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the first time we ever met,
I'm
and
like, I just opened the practice. What do I do?
but I just want to say that, Elliot, you are someone that I feel like everything that you just said, you are embodying. So thank you for that. For, you have your practice, but you're also someone that I always feel like I can count on to speak up when people need to speak up and speak out, because that, we are one of the most stigmatized illnesses that are out there. And we still have people that won't correct people in our community. Like,
Yeah.
so we need to be the people that are setting the example to say it is okay to speak out. And it's not a reflection of who you are. It's actually standing up for our community. Because when we do that, we save lives. So thank you for all that you do and being a game changer. And I definitely want to talk about doing a live podcast at OCD Game Changers in March.
Awesome. So we will see you then. And can't wait for that. Take care, Chrissie.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.